There is no strength without suffering, no wisdom without wounds, no warrior who has not bled. Pain is not your enemy. It is your forge. And yet, most people, when they feel it, flee like cowards. They seek comfort, numb themselves with distractions, or curse their misfortune. But the truth is that pain is the fire that purifies. Look at history. The strongest men, the greatest legends, they didn't rise from easy lives. They were tempered by suffering, hardened by loss, and shaped by their struggles. Thorfinn from Vinland Saga learned this the hard way. He believed strength was in the sword, in vengeance, in rage, until pain stripped him of everything. And you? How do you respond to pain? Do you fight it, run from it, or do you, like the true warriors, let it transform you? Because today, you'll learn what most never understand. Pain is not the enemy. It's your teacher, but only if you listen. The problem: feeling pain does not mean you're weak. Why is it that when we feel pain, when our bodies ache, when our hearts are heavy, and when our minds are burdened, our first thought is, I must not be strong enough? Who taught you that pain is a sign of weakness? According to modern psychology, pain is not proof of weakness. It is proof that you are alive. It's the body's way of telling you that something matters, that you are in the middle of change. Yet, we have been conditioned to believe that strength means feeling nothing at all, that warriors do not suffer. But that is a lie. The strongest men in history have all suffered. The Vikings knew this. Their sagas spoke of men who walked through storms, who stood against waves that threatened to crush them, not because they did not feel pain, but because they did not run from it. Look at Thorfinn. He wasn't weak because he felt pain after his father's death. He was weak because he did not know how to endure it. He believed that killing Askeladd would make the pain go away, but it never did. Battle after battle, his pain only deepened, because pain does not destroy you. Avoiding it does. How often have you felt like breaking down and thought, I must not be strong enough for this? Maybe you faced failure, rejection, heartbreak, and instead of seeing your pain as proof that you were growing, you saw it as proof that you were losing. But think about the hardest thing you've ever overcome. Didn't it hurt? Didn't it demand everything from you? And yet, you survived. The fact that you felt pain meant that you were fighting. Pain is not the enemy. It is not a curse. It is not a sign that you are unworthy. It's a test that all warriors must face. And the people who never feel pain, they are not the strong. They are not the victorious. They're the ones who never dared to fight in the first place. Lesson 1. Pain is not here to break you. Olympic athletes don't just endure pain. They train straight into it, pushing past their limits. Yeah, while most people treat pain like a fire alarm, freaking out and running for the nearest exit, athletes embrace it like an old friend. Research shows that when you push through discomfort, your brain doesn't just endure. It rewires itself to become stronger. Your muscles literally tear apart so they can rebuild bigger. Your mind, when tested under stress, becomes more resilient, more focused, more unshakable. Pain isn't just a warning sign, it's a growth signal. The Vikings had a saying, better to fight and fall than to live without hope. They understood something modern society seems to have forgotten. Comfort is the real enemy. You think your pain means something's wrong? No. Pain means something is happening. Every moment of suffering is a moment of transformation if you don't run from it. The problem is, most people do run. They avoid the burn, take the easy road, hide under warm blankets of distraction. But what they don't realize is that by avoiding pain, they're also avoiding growth. When Thorfinn was a warrior, he thought pain was the enemy. So what did he do? He fought. He raged, he killed, thinking it would make the ache in his chest go away. But when revenge was stolen from him, he was left with nothing but the weight of his suffering. And for the first time, there was no sword to swing, no battle to drown in, no enemy to blame, just himself. That's where true pain begins. And in that fire, something changed. Pain did not destroy him. It revealed that revenge won't heal him. Think about it. Have you ever gone through something you thought would break you? A breakup that shattered your confidence? A failure that made you question yourself? A betrayal that made you want to shut the world out? Didn't that moment force you to grow in ways you never would have otherwise? Maybe it made you tougher. Maybe it forced you to get serious. Maybe it showed you what really mattered. Pain doesn't just take things away. It gives you something in return. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, once said, The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Translation: that thing you think is holding you back, that's actually your way forward. Pain is a growth signal, not a stop sign. If you feel it, you're in the middle of becoming something greater. Lesson 2. Pain leads to purpose. What if your greatest pain was actually the doorway to your true purpose? Suffering isn't just something to survive, it's something to use. Here's another Viking saying: a man knows little if he never travels. He grows dull if he stays too still. Meaning, staying comfortable makes you weak. Pain forces you forward. Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth. The idea that people don't just bounce back from suffering, they can rise higher because of it. Trauma reshapes the brain, often unlocking clarity, wisdom, and purpose that weren't there before, but only if you face it. Some people let pain turn them into victims. Others let it turn them into warriors. Which one you become depends on whether you run from it or learn from it. Thorfinn didn't just experience pain, he lived inside it. For years, he defined himself through revenge, convinced his purpose was to kill Askeladd and nothing more. And when his revenge was stolen, his whole reason for existing was gone in an instant. For a while, Thorfinn lost himself. He became a husk of the warrior he once was, a slave to the weight of his own past. But something happened in that suffering. Without war, without hate, without a sword in his hand, Thorfinn had to ask himself a terrifying question. If I'm not a warrior, then who am I? And that's when his true purpose began to take shape. To create Vinland, a land where no one else had to suffer like he did. Let's be real. Life loves to punch people in the face. Maybe it's a failed relationship, career setback, or a moment where everything you thought you were working towards crumbles into dust. Most people ask, why is this happening to me? The right question should be, what is this pain trying to teach me? Look at the world's most successful people. Athletes, leaders, creators. They weren't just handed their greatness. No. They earned it through failure, suffering, and loss. Sylvester Stallone, so broke before Rocky that he sold his dog just to afford food. His script was rejected over 1,500 times, and when Hollywood finally showed interest, they refused to cast him. He held out, stayed broke, and fought for his vision. And in the end, he won. Tom Brady, drafted so low that people barely even noticed him, until he became one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. These people didn't just survive pain, they used it. They let failure shape them, let rejection sharpen them, let suffering forge them into something legendary. Pain forces transformation so you can evolve. Lesson 3. The Warrior's Path. There are 2 types of suffering in this world. 1, the suffering you choose, the pain you endure on purpose. 2, the suffering that chooses you, the regret of knowing you could have been more. Pick one. You don't get to avoid pain. You only get to decide if it will make you stronger or if it will break you. This is the warrior's path. It's not for cowards. Seneca, the ancient Roman philosopher, said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." In other words, life is a gym. If you never lift a heavy weight, don't expect to get stronger. The Vikings sought out hardship. Winter wasn't an inconvenience. It was training. The sea wasn't an obstacle. It was a test. War wasn't tragedy. It was a forge. Let's talk about one of the greatest flexes in Vinland Saga. Thorfinn's legendary 100-punch challenge. Thorfinn, the man who once lived by the sword, stood still and took 100 punches in the face just so he could have a conversation with Canute. That's right, no dodging, no blocking, no counterattacks, just his body absorbing the hits like an ancient Norse tank. Now, most people would say, that's not strength, that's just being stubborn. Wrong. It's easy to swing a sword. It's easy to fight when your blood's boiling and your enemy's in front of you. But to stand there unshaken, to take every hit, knowing that enduring is harder than fighting back, that's power. Thorfinn wasn't proving his ability to kill anymore. He was proving his ability to suffer for something greater than himself. That's the moment he became more than a warrior. That's when he became a true Viking. Warriors are not built in battle. Warriors are built before the battle, when no one's watching, when there's no glory, when it's just you versus the voice in your head saying, quit. Want to be strong? Stop avoiding pain. Start choosing it. Take a cold shower. Push yourself harder in the gym. Have that difficult conversation instead of running from it. Do the thing that scares you, even when every cell in your body screams no. Because one day, life will test you. And if you haven't been training, it will break you. So decide, suffer now and grow, or suffer later and regret it. Either way, pain's coming. How you face it will define you. Lesson 4, from weakness to strength. Pain shows you where you're soft, where you're fragile, where you'd rather run than fight. And most people take that as an insult. They cry, complain, and curse the gods, wondering why life is so unfair. But here's the truth. Pain isn't here to humiliate you. It's here to train you. There's a scientific reason why the hardest moments in your life are also the ones that change you the most. Studies show that people who endure controlled stress, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional, become mentally tougher, more disciplined, and more resilient. Your brain, like your muscles, adapts to stress. The more hardship you face, the more your mind learns to endure, adapt, and overcome. Thorfinn thought strength meant killing his enemies. Then he lost everything. His revenge, his purpose, his identity. Most people would have crumbled. But Thorfinn, he took his weakness and turned it into something greater. He stopped fighting meaningless battles. Not because he was afraid, but because he knew there was a better way. Thorfinn threw away his sword and found true strength. Ever met someone who used to suck at something, but now they're amazing at it? They weren't born strong. They weren't gifted with talent. They trained for it. Weakness isn't permanent. It's just a starting point. Pain builds discipline so you never break. The next time you feel pain, physical, emotional, or mental, don't run. Face it. Ask what it's trying to teach you, and then use it to become stronger. Because today's weakness is tomorrow's strength. Enough talk. You've been tested. Now prove yourself. Step forward. Face the pain. Take what's yours. You're not broken. You're becoming.